Hello, hello, welcome to another episode of Sorry Not Sorry. I'm Magda, and this podcast is my reflection on topics that matter to me and you, as adults. It is sometimes for fun, sometimes for thinking about ourselves, and also for those who aren't afraid to look inside themselves. I think we can finally say that this is who we are. And today we will talk about decisions and why it is so hard for us to make them. Okay, if I make a decision, it is hard for me to stand by it, and I start doubting myself. I begin to second guess the decision I have made. When I was preparing for this episode, as always, I shared the topic with you that I focus on each week. I hope this episode will be useful to you, so maybe I will title it, Why Can't I Make a Decision? This is a working title, and I might come up with another one later, but this question is the basis for the episode. So, why can't I make a decision? What stops me from making a clear decision? Why does it seem so hard for me? First, I want to share what I think are the basic parts of making any decision. Decisions that concern us personally are different from those made in partnership, family, or friendship, where we are not alone. But in decisions that concern only us, there are three key factors: listening to yourself, taking responsibility, and in my opinion, the most important thing is standing by your decision. So, to make a conscious decision on our own, we need these three qualities. We need to listen to ourselves, take responsibility for our decision, and stand by what we decided. And sometimes we might be not able to listen to ourselves for some reason, which I will discuss today. Some people might look for someone to blame if their decisions turns out wrong, trying to avoid responsibility. And others might have trouble sticking to their decisions when they face outside opinions and judgments. Preparing for this episode, I realized that making a decision can be simple. 3 steps. Listen to yourself, take responsibility, and stand by your own decision. But there can be many challenges along the way. So, a few questions to start with. Are you able to connect with your body? When you are in a dilemma or thinking about something, can you and do you usually connect with your body? Do you know how your body signals a yes? Do you recognize what it feels like in your body? If we are in touch with our body, it helps us make decisions. And this might be a topic for another episode, but it's important to understand why we might not be in touch with our body. However, if we are in touch with our body and have a dialogue with it, our body becomes a great compass for making decisions. It tells us right away what feels right. Now, let's talk about taking responsibility. I will ask you a few questions. Can you take responsibility for your decisions? Can you own up to the choices you make? This is a broader question because it asks if you can take responsibility for how your life looks today. Think about the people you spend time with, the job you have, how much you earn, and how you feel in different areas of your life. These are all consequences of your decisions. Can you take responsibility for that? I'm taking a deep breath here because I know many people don't take responsibility for their lives. And I also was one of them. Often we blame our current life on the home we grew up in, on our parents, but as adults we can work with our past and start creating a life that isn't just a repeat of the patterns we grew up with. So you can create a conscious life for yourself. So ask yourself, am I taking responsibility for my life, or do I prefer to blame others and say it wasn't my idea, or that someone else pushed me in this direction? Another important question: can you stand by your decision? So if you say A, can you stick with A? Even if others start shouting B, B, choose B instead. Can you stay with A? Can you stay true to yourself? Can you handle it if your parents, family, or friends disagree with your decision? For example, if you say, I'm moving to Alaska, and everyone says, what? Are you crazy? Don't move. So, can you still go ahead with your decision? It's like saying, okay, you're right, I will stay. This example might seem extreme, but there are many real life situations like this. So, check if you can stand by what you said. Can you stand by the decision you have already made in your heart? Why can't we make decisions in life? Why is it so difficult for us? This stems from something. It's not that we are adults and feel competent, but for some reason we have a hard time making any decision, big or small. It's not like that. If we have a hard time making decisions in our adult life, it means that it flows from somewhere. It means that it takes us somewhere. And I would like to show you at least a few basic reasons that often come up in my personal views and personal experience, and also from my environment. So, see if you can relate to any of these reasons. First of all, it can be difficult for us to make adult decisions if we were responsible for too much as children. If, as children, we had to have answers for everything for our parents or guardians, we were in essence adults in our childhood. We didn't have the chance to fully develop. And what is development actually? Development is going through different stages in our childhood. It can only happen where there is a sense of security. If we were burdened with tasks beyond our capacity and competence, as children, we lacked that sense of security. So it's not normal for a child to be a mediator between parents. It's not normal for a child to handle paperwork, food, or finances because the parents can't get along. It's not normal for a child to go to the store for alcohol. It's not normal for a child to comfort a mother in crisis, depression, or when she can't cope with reality. It's not normal for a child to comfort a dad in depression or when he cannot cope with reality. In each of these situations, if the child is not just and only a child, a daughter of a mother, a father, a son of a mother, a father and the child must play a role, a function, must be something useful for the parent, and whether it's a judge or a mediator, we are already talking about responsible children. So we already see that in such homes, there is no sense of security, because the sense of a security is where the child can really take care of their child's world. And in these scenarios, the child cannot fully take care of their child's worlds as far as it can at all. And there is no time for immaturity, early childhood, preschool age, maturity, adolescence, early adulthood, and the time to enter the adult world. In the meantime, and there is no development of one's own identity. The development and education of self-regulation skills and one's own autonomy. No, there is no such thing. So, really, when after such a childhood we go out into our adult world, and here I refer you to the episode about child responsibility. When we go out into our adult world after such a childhood, we can either continue these rescue moments or be completely helpless in our adult life in sense of complete incompetence, in a sense of fatigue, helplessness, frustration. In addition, you can see that if we were responsible children, we were responsible, so we had the answers, as the word responsibility itself says, and we had responsibility for ourselves. As a children, we were thrown into the deep water. There is no time for childhood. You have to be an adult right away. You have to be responsible for the adult. You have to behave like an adult. So we were thrown into the deep water. So what did we associate responsibility with? With the burden. And if this is how we associate responsibility, then when we go into our adult world, we don't want to make decisions because every decision is responsibility. And I do not want to deal with responsibility anymore because I had so much of it in my childhood. So the first big issue with this lack of decisiveness as adults is our responsible childhood. And if we were responsible children who had to have many answers for their parents, then we may not want to and not have the resources to have any meaningful answers and any meaningful decisions for ourselves and for our lives. And from this over-responsible childhood, we can very often enter the inner need for someone to make decisions for us. In other words, another sub-point, another reason why we don't make decisions in life, why don't we make decisions in our adult life? Because we are waiting for someone to make this decision for us. In other words, we are little children, or we have this quality in us, a little uncared child who is waiting for someone to take care of him, someone to take care of us, for someone to understand us in our helplessness, for someone to be this parent, in fact, who simply wasn't there at the time. So, in fact, it's a big childish hunger for someone to take care of us, for someone to understand us in our helplessness, for someone to be this parent, in fact, who simply wasn't there at the time. Why do we have difficulty making decisions in our life? If we had an overprotective parent. Okay, what do I mean by an overprotective parent? It's a parent who doesn't allow their children to make any decisions on their own. This kind of protection doesn't let the child develop their own identity, autonomy, and competencies through different stages of development. An overprotective parent is always hovering over every move and decision of their child. They don't allow the child to decide for themselves at any stage of life. If we experience this, we might feel that we can't make decisions without asking someone for their opinion. We might feel that we don't have the competence to make decisions for ourselves. We might not even know who we are independently of our parents because they made all the decisions for us. They shared their narrative of how we should feel, decide, and what our life should look like. Another point is the fear of opinions and consequences. Many of us have an internal fear that if we make a decision and someone doesn't like it, we feel guilty and can't stand by our decision. We fear that someone's opinion will change our decision, or that there will be consequences if we make a decision. For example, if your mom expected you to go to the medical school but you want to go to an art school, you might fear telling her because she might get offended or punish you with silence, and you can't stand that. This fear of opinions and consequences stems from a part of us that wants to please others, especially if we were children who were always trying to meet expectations. Another example, in many family homes, it might seem that parents give a free hand, supposedly. They allow the child to decide, supposedly. And I will give you a great example right now. Mom says that she likes this John. She really likes John and sees you with John, but you like Bob. And mom says, but it's your life, so choose John or Bob. It is your life, daughter. So choose Bob if you want. And then what happens? Mom says, yeah, maybe with John you would have better life. And then we start to feel guilty. Maybe I should have chosen John. I see that my mom is unhappy and I can't stand it. I feel guilty that I chose Bob and not John. Think about this situation 50 years ahead. There are women who marry men whom their mother loved, whom their mother liked, and they couldn't stop and make decisions on their own. I'm not saying whether they love him or not, but do they even like him? Do they want to be with this man? Because there is so much desire to satisfy a parent in us that we have no contact with what is within us. And then 15 years ahead, a divorce happens. And these are situations where it stops being funny, right? Because do you make decisions in your life based on what you want? Do you make decisions in your life based on what the outside world wants for you? What do your mom, grandma, aunt, sister, friend, neighbor, or even followers or public opinions want from you? Who do you live your life for? And suddenly it turns out that often these are not isolated cases. It turns out that the whole life you have built is a life made up of things that have been said, and you are not happy at all. Because grandma wanted a house for you, so you have a house. And mom wanted a man for you, so you have a man. And dad wanted such studies for you, so you have such studies. And someone said it would be nice to have a dog, so you have a dog. And it's time for a child, so you have a child. And it turns out that no decision was made according to you. A question that often came up from you was, what does it mean if I need to confirm the decision I made? And that is exactly what this point is about. So we check the reaction. We check the reaction of many people. Maybe I should choose A, maybe B, maybe C. The question is, are you able to take all this feedback and stay firm with your decision? Not in a way that causes drama for everyone who said something different than A, but can you stand with your A? Can you stay with your decision? Very often we inform the first, fifth, 10th person about what we decided or what we think we will decide, just so that someone confirms for us that we think well, that it will be a good decision, that someone will take responsibility for this decision with us. And I'm telling you, take responsibility and stand by with your decision, because it is always this childish part of us looking for something in connection with our decision. We are looking for praise, we are looking for applause, we are looking for understanding, and we are looking for someone to take responsibility for our decision. Because if you want to seek advice, okay, let's stop for a moment here. But Okay, what if I just want to seek advice? If you want to seek advice, decide for yourself from whom you want to seek advice. How many people do you want to seek advice from? And why do you want to seek advice from these people? First of all, from whom do you want to seek advice? Because usually we don't know from whom we want to seek advice in a given situation. So we seek advice from everyone because we don't have a plan. From whom do I want to listen to in these situations, in this area, in this particular matter in my life? And maybe, for example, then it will come to us that the only person I want to talk to about it and from whom I want to seek advice is, for example, my partner or my wife or my husband. And usually we seek advice from everyone. And husband and wife and mother and father and grandmother and grandfather and neighbor and friends from work and someone on Instagram and someone on Facebook and even, and I don't know, even something in the book. So we seek advice from each other, whoever you are. It doesn't matter, as long as someone confirms me in something, as long as someone would somehow comment on my decision and my case. And that is how we do it. However, if you know that you want to seek advice, for example, on this case of these two specific people, because these two people seem to you to be the authority in this case. These two people, the opinion of these two people will be qualitative for you in this area of your life. In this area of your life, these two feedbacks will be important to you. There will be perhaps determining new answers in your own a given topic. So check very carefully from whom you seek advice and why you seek advice from these people. Because, for example, we seek advice from each other very often, not because someone knows about the subject. Let's say, I don't know, we seek advice from each other about building a house, whether it is better to build on such a plot or on such a plot or in such a city or in this city, and we don't consult people who know about it, not people who have competence. We are looking for them to say, oh, you have a great idea with this topic. So we are looking for some kind of confirmation. So take care of these two questions. From whom am I seeking advice? And why am I seeking advice from these people? It is very important depending on the topic we are working on and depending on the dilemma and the space of the dilemma, in which area I have a dilemma. And it's important not to seek advice from everyone because everyone remembers that everyone always advises you from the field of their own experience. If, for example, you are seeking advice from someone about a business, are you seeking advice from a person who is in this business? Is she or he doing well? Is she or he doing well in this business? Are you seeking advice from someone who went bankrupt in the first month of running a one-person business or who lost a lot of money in the business? And sometimes one decision can change the fate of an entire family system. Decisions can have different weight and significance depending on which decisions were made, the easy ones and the difficult ones. What easy and difficult decisions were made in our family system? What was the decision associated within our family system? Staying together, the belief that everything will end badly, that everyone will die. What was the decision associated with? The relationship falling apart, the marriage falling apart, the family losing all their money through one decision? When you start to explore the beliefs you have from your family system regarding decision making, you might discover that you believe making a decision is hard, that choices are always tragic, or that there are never good solutions. Look at your beliefs about decision making. Do you think making decisions is easy, pleasant? and everything always ends well? Or do you believe that there is never a good decision or solution, or that you are too stupid to make a good decision? Examine what beliefs this topic of decision making brings up for you, because it's not always obvious. It's also worth looking at the major decisions that were made in our family, decisions that may have changed the fate of many people or the course of the entire family system. So, how to make a decision? I wanted to end this episode with this question: how to make a decision based on these insights, not on the lack of decision making. I want to share my decision making framework with you, which you can apply in your life. And first of all, it is so important to stop talking about your decisions to everyone around you. Ask yourself, why do I talk about my decisions to everyone? What am I waiting for? If you frequently do this, it's worth getting out of the habit. Start by not asking everyone if you should choose left or right. If it was natural for you for 30 years or 20 years, it won't always be easy. One day you might manage not to ask, and the next day you might feel so stressed that you have to ask. That's okay. Working on yourself is a daily task, and only when you develop a certain comfort in your own identity, autonomy, and feelings, you will be able to make decisions without constantly asking others. And I'm absolutely sure it's not going to take you a half year. I would rather say 20 or, okay, maybe not 20, but 10 and half years. If that's possible. We are only developing through time and through everyday life, everyday situations in which we put ourselves in a new way as much as we can, and in a new way, and in a new way, and in a new way again. It's only through this that we develop those bigger new notes and transformations. How to make these decisions then? So let's go back to ourselves. Do you remember the 3 basic components of making your own decision? That is contact with yourself and feeling in yourself, taking responsibility, and standing by your decision. So it's worth asking yourself a question. If there were no people around me, if there were no opinions around me, what would I like and what would I decide? Then it is worth asking yourself what your body tells you in relation to this decision or this dilemma. And you can do types of exercise to get in touch with your body. Of course, apart from such work on yourself that will allow you to close your eyes, listen to your body, see what's going on in your body, where it gets hot, maybe tension, what is with your saliva, what's with your breath. It's kind of obvious, but here I wanted to give you muscle test. So you take 2 pieces of paper and you agree with your body that if the body goes more forward, it is yes. If it goes more backward, it is no. So take 2 pieces of paper, and on the first piece of paper there is option A. On the second piece of paper there is an option B. The inscription is down to the ground so that you don't see what you are standing on. You mix these cards, put them on the ground at a distance of 2-3 meters from each other. You stand on one card and look in which direction your body is leading you. And then you turn the cards to see which option is closer to you, which option your body is leaning towards. However, there is still such a variation to this exercise, and it is such a variation of the system settings, which I highly recommend, of course. Namely, do not look only at the movements of the front and back of your body, but when you put these 2 cards on the ground, you write down option A, B, down to the ground, you mix, so that you don't see what is what. Then you look at what is happening with your body at all. So is it comfortable, uncomfortable? How do you breathe? Did some stress, tension, pain, panic come? Or maybe there is a relaxed, peaceful feeling. What attracts your attention when you stand on this cart, up or down? Do you look straight ahead? Are you straightened or bent, confused, or maybe your attention is outside the window? So you are looking at what is around you. You get off this cart and again you shake your hands, you shake your legs, you stand on the other cart, and again from point zero, you start to look at what's going on with you. And it may turn out that on one cart, it is definitely more comfortable for your body. It might turn out that on one cart you see, for example, much brighter, or you stand much easier, or you feel much more comfortable or much more confident. And listen, sometimes it doesn't come out as we wish. And we go to such a test, we stand, we do this exercise. We don't stand on this card, but somewhere in the back of our heads, we wanted it that way, but our body clearly says no. I had such a situation. I can share it with you. It was about my planned trip to Switzerland to visit my cousin. I had been planning this trip for a while, had bought tickets, booked accommodation. Everything was actually ready. However, on the day of the trip, I woke up feeling very bad. I had a fever, I was cold. Of course, there was that part of me that thought, well, cancel the trip, even though it's big deal because people are waiting for me there. And I had to postpone the trip. I thought I will do it again. I mean, the test. Because it didn't make me smile at all to postpone this trip because of the people who were waiting. And I had to postpone the trip the second time. I did this exercise 3 times. So I believe in the great wisdom of the body. And our body knows what is interesting. When I finally postponed this trip, I received so many messages from my friends with good wishes for a speedy recovery, that they were waiting, that there was no problem, that health is the most important to stay warm. It was amazing how much love I received. And understanding, because it wasn't just about one person who waited for me. It was about few actually person in Switzerland. And I also made a schedule for making podcasts with those people. So yeah, it was amazing how much love and understanding I received. And in this way, I deal with even bigger dilemmas because I trust my body. Our body can say absolutely everything. The body doesn't lie. I also put a lot of years of working into it, such internal work with myself. For me, it is such that I can just close my eyes or even feel right away what is happening in a given situation in my body. It is also worth asking yourself when making a decision, what do I want? So what do I want for my life? Ultimately, do you have a vision for your life? Do you see clearly what kind of life you want for yourself? And because of the life you have in front of you, because of the life you want to create, that you have in front of you, right? When the decision comes, do you make a decision thinking about the life you want for yourself? Or do you not take it into account at all? Remember, and this is also such an important point when making a decision, that every decision strengthens some quality. Are you approaching the life you want for yourself with your next and next decision? Or are you rather moving away from it? And these are difficult questions and difficult answers to which we need to face every single day. Are your choices bringing you closer to your goals and dreams, or are they steering you away from them? Every decision we make either builds up our courage or feeds our fears. These are the questions we all need to answer every day. And finally, if we want to make decisions, we need to take responsibility for them. See how many of us want to take responsibility only for decisions that turned out to be the best in the world. How many of us want to take responsibility only for decision that turned out to be a big hit and a big success in any field and in any area of our lives? And what about those decisions that didn't turn out to be a success? Most of the time, we want to blame someone. No, it wasn't me. He advised me. I followed his advice. Why should I listen to him? See if you can also take responsibility for your difficult decisions. What do you need to express clearly and loudly today? And what do you finally need to take responsibility for? What difficult decision have you made? For example, admit, I made a decision that I want to be with this man. 15 years ago, I made this decision despite the fact that today this love ends in divorce. Then yes, I made a decision that I want to be in this relationship. Or yes, I made a decision. Magda, now I'm speaking for myself. I made decision that I'm going to, for example, to the theater school, despite the fact that I gave up after the first year, and in the first year of theater school, I shed a sea of tears. And yes, it was my decision to give up and to go to this theater school. Perhaps you need to say to yourself, yes, I made the decision that I will stay abroad and that I will not come to my dad's, birthday party. Perhaps you need to say to yourself, yes, I made the decision that I will be a lover. Or I made the decision that I cheated on somebody. Or I made the decision that instead of accepting a promotion, I completely quit my job. See what you need to take responsibility for. Where do you need to say, yes, I made that decision. Yes, I made that decision, even if that decision turned out to be difficult over time or in the perspective of time. Because there is a strength in responsibility and there is such a power in responsibility. And if you could look, my body straightens up because I think right now about my situations that I had to and I have to be responsible for. And yeah, tell me if you have the same, because mine straightens up definitely when I take responsibility for my past decisions, and then our past, even difficult decisions become a kind of resource. And I would like to tell you that there are no bad decisions. There are decisions that were the only possible for us in our inner self at that time. And every single decision, even if we can call it a difficult from the perspective of time, it puts us to something. It was a part of our path. It was a part of our learning, and when I am properly cared for, I'm sure, and I say this from my own experience, that every decision, even the most difficult one, can become a lesson and an important meeting with yourself. The more experience we have of what is easy and what is difficult, the more wisdom we have in life. And wisdom cannot be bought for any money. When I think about making a decision, but also the decisions of other people around me, I don't have a place for judgment. Because I deeply believe that our life, our such or other decisions are managed by something much bigger than me or you. Our decisions are also managed by fate. And sometimes we make difficult decisions to take care of yourself with a certain topic. And I encourage you to not classify your decisions as good or bad, because decisions are simply decisions, such as we can make at a given time. And I encourage you to think first if your body is telling you something. Ask yourself and check what your body is telling you, because if you will be in contact with this body more and more, your body will be telling you and compassing the right decisions for you. If you feel that exercise with cards are for you, I really recommend it to you to put and check if the decisions you make empower the life you want to for yourself, or if they empower exactly the opposite, the life you don't want for yourself. I wish you beautiful views, and I wish you mature decisions which are above all decisions that are in contact with you. It is the knowledge of what you really want for yourself. So thank you, my listeners. Thank you for being here. Thank you for listening. Thank you for every your message. And yeah, just have a beautiful the rest of the day. Bye.